Hey everyone, and welcome to my quick spooky reads recommendations video. We are heading into October now, which means we are heading into my favourite time of year, which is spooky season. I am so excited. My TBR is already looking massive for the month. So what I thought I'd do today is give you a couple of really quick reads that you can read for Halloween that are varying levels of spooky depending on your comfort level. So if you're planning your Halloween TBR, you can have a few more options. So let's get into it. First up is Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle, and if you're looking for cults, religious trauma, body horror, people throwing up flies, demons, also own voices, autistic representation as well, you cannot go wrong with Camp Damascus. I will say definitely look up the trigger warnings because there are a lot of them in this book, but it is so well done. I will say my only complaint with this was that I wanted it to be longer to explore more of the character's feelings and things like this when she realises that she's in a cult, this kind of thing, but apart from that, this was absolutely fantastic. It's only about 300 pages long and it absolutely packs a punch. I highly recommend it if you are a horror fan and you want something quick to read this Halloween. Then I wouldn't be me if I did not mention Derek Landy's Skullduggery Pleasant, because of course I'm going to mention it here because this book is so Halloween coded, but for middle grade readers and quite frankly anybody of any age, I genuinely believe that these books are for anyone from about maybe 10 upwards, to be honest, because they are so much fun and they are definitely Halloween coded. I mean, the main character is a magical skeleton detective to start with. You are dealing with a lot of death and blood and murder, and I do genuinely mean a lot of murder throughout these books. There's a lot of like different Halloween type creatures, like you've got the Grotesquerie, which is kind of like a Frankenstein's monster kind of thing. You've also got Dr. Nye, who quite frankly defies description in a lot of ways. They're just very creepy to look at, like really creepy. If I can find like a bit of art to show you, I will put it here so you can kind of see what I mean. But you've also got people who are made out of spiders. This kind of thing runs the whole way through this series, and the latest book, Mindful of Murder, is written like a slasher where you are literally following a group of people who are slowly being picked off one by one, and it is filled with slasher references throughout it. So you get the moment where they're in a cabin in the woods and Skullduggery turns to them and goes, "So, what's your favourite scary movie?" And you get bits like this throughout this series and specifically in that book, and it just works so brilliantly as a Halloween read. If you are not good with blood and gore, this does have it in here, but it's a lot less than you would expect from a lot of other books on this list and just generally Halloween spooky books. Also, if you are just looking for a fun middle grade to read that is kind of in the vibes of Halloween without being like too scary or anything, Skullduggery absolutely has to be on this list. It is so much fun, so good, and while it is spooky, I do genuinely believe it can be for young kids all the way through adults. It is brilliant and perfect for this time of year. Or if you do not want to deal with murder or death or anything else and you just want a fun, witchy middle grade, definitely check out The Double Trouble Society by Carrie Hope Fletcher, because this is dealing with Ivy and Maggie, who are two best friends, and what happens when a witch moves in next door. There is a lot of fun to do with this, and it's got some fun, light, spooky vibes, but it is definitely not going to be scary in any way whatsoever. It is just witchy and good fun instead, and I highly recommend it. And the last one on this list I'm going to give you that is not majorly gory or anything else is Gallant by V.E. Schwab. This is kind of like a Crimson Peak type of vibes, but in a YA, and it is absolutely fantastic. I sped through this book in literally a day. It was one of the best books I read that year, and I mean, I am biased, I am absolute Schwab trash, but I genuinely mean it. This was so good. If you are a fan of Crimson Peak, you will definitely really enjoy Gallant, because it definitely has those types of vibes to it. There's definitely haunted houses, this kind of thing, and it was really good fun to read. And then the final three things I have are all very bloody and gory and murdery and things like this, so if that is not your thing, then definitely avoid these books, because there is a lot of it in these books specifically. But the first one is Not Even Bones and the Rest of the Market of Monsters series by Rebecca Schaefer, because this is all about Nita, whose mother essentially hunts down monsters in a world where everyone knows monsters exist, and it sends them to Nita to essentially autopsy and package up, and they send off the body parts around the world on a monster black market. And what happens when one day Nita wakes up and she is about to be sold sold herself on this black market. And it is so good. If you love your characters to be morally grey to evil, this book is filled with them. Like, no one in this book is a good person, to say the least. Everyone is absolutely awful in the best way possible. I love the twists and turns of this one. I love just the world of this as well. There are so many monsters throughout here that are so fascinating. I love that part of it. I love the general storyline of this. And if you are a fan of gore and things like this, and like gory horror movies and stuff like this, I would definitely recommend checking out Not Even Bones, because it is filled with a lot of blood and gore and all of that stuff if you are interested in that. And it is such a good spooky Halloween type vibe, and I love it. There is also the Something Is Killing the Children series by James Tynion, and this is following Erica Slaughter, who is a monster hunter. So you get a lot of monster hunting and monsters in general, and the society around Erica Slaughter who raised her to be this monster hunter, all of this kind of thing, and it is fantastic. And to be honest, if you are looking for horror graphic novels, you cannot go wrong with James Tynion in general, because he has also written the spin-off House of Slaughter. He's also done Wild Tree, which is still updating at the moment, as well as actually House of Slaughter and Something Is Killing the Children. And then he's also done the standalone The Closet as well, and just generally all of them are fantastically creepy and so well done. Each one has had me on the edge of my seat, and I genuinely think you cannot go wrong if you are looking for horror graphic novels if you are going for James Tynion, because he is so good at this. He's basically the king of it. I cannot recommend James Tynion, and specifically Something Is Killing the Children, enough. And then finally I have Bloodstained Teeth by Christian Ward. This is a vampire horror duology, and it is fantastic. This has got such good vampire vibes. I love the world of the vampires that this inhabits. I love the storyline of it as well. I will say that the second volume wrapped things up a little bit too quickly in my mind, but that is just personal preference. And generally, if you are looking for a vampire graphic novel this Halloween, you cannot go wrong with Bloodstained Teeth. And that is my recommendations for quick Halloween reads this year. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. If you've got any suggestions, leave them down below. I'd love to know so I don't miss any. Or if you don't have that much time, leave me a vampire emoji down below to let me know that you were here. I'll also leave a link as well down below to all my social media if you want to check it out, including to the Comic Book Sanctum, which is my website dedicated to Marvel Comics. If you want to check that out, it's going to be filled with all things Marvel Comics and witches and stuff this month, if you want to check that out. I'll also leave a link as well down below to my Bookish Etsy store if you want to treat yourself to something bookish today, or if you just want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here, and over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time everyone, bye!